Sometimes the Mavs have played too slow. Sometimes they played way too fast. We're hoping they do the just right tempo this year. We're going to tell you why on today's DLLS Mavs podcast. DLLS Mavs training camp coverage is powered by Nasser Jewelers in Rockwall and Boostier Development. Need something custom or shopping for diamond jewelry? Mention DLLS Mavs to get 20% off custom orders or diamond jewelry, plus a free jewelry cleaning at Nasser Jewelers in Rockwall. And thank you to our sponsor, Boostier Development, an ultra-luxury home builder of modern villas inspired by the Mediterranean lifestyle. Visit www.boostierdev.com to get started today. Hello and welcome to the DLLS Mavs podcast, reporting to you live from sunny and beautiful Victory Park, Dallas, Texas. My name is Bobby Carella. Kevin Gray, he's on an airplane. Mark Stein, he's also on an airplane. I think the same flight. Unclear at this time.
Kevin Gray's in the chat.
Kevin Gray is dude. Kevin, we gotta talk to Kevin whenever he gets back. But that's Tim Cato. He's here with me. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing lovely. Shout out Trey in the comments. Aced 2 college classes yesterday.
Oh, let's go.
Gets to chill all day. Man.
3 college classes
yesterday. I did say 2.
Wait a minute. It feels way too early in the semester to I guess it's not midterms already, would it be?
Does feel too early for that. Trey, you've got some explaining to do.
How
do you know you've aced it?
When are midterms?
Usually they're in the middle of the term.
I guess we are approaching midterm territory.
Yeah, not quite there. Kevin Gray's landing in 12 minutes. You
okay.
better hustle.
All right. Okay. Well, safe landing, safe flight, safe customs.
Yeah.
Also joining us on the ones and twos, as almost always, is Tanner. Thank you for turning your microphone on. That would have hung me out to dry pretty bad there. So we're going to talk about some stuff today. For starters,
we're just going to talk about Vancouver.
Leftover ideas from Media Day. We're going to get into
jealous we're not there.
How the Mavs need to push the tempo.
Do you think they packed jackets? I think they probably had to.
I guess you could ask Kevin. He's in the chat.
Kevin, how many jackets did you pack? I have yet to wear a jacket this year. Well, not literally this year. Believe it or not, the year does start cold, but
it's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a second.
Yeah, we're going to talk about pushing the tempo. We're going to talk about some other league-wide trends that we are foreseeing. We're looking deep within the crystal ball. Then also, like Mark Stein said yesterday, sort of the first day of school is Media Day, but it's the last day of school for one of us. And spoiler alert,
Bobby's going to first grade.
No, it's not me. So we're going to bid Tim Cato a fond farewell here at the end of the show. But over the next hour, it's time to talk sports, man. So Tim, let's get into it. Obviously, KG and Stein were with you at Media Day yesterday. We had a pretty thorough recap, I think, of a lot of the goings on over at American Airlines Center, but we didn't touch on everything. And so just go ahead and empty your notebook, because this is one of the last opportunities you'll ever have to do so here on the DLS Mavs podcast.
So one thing that really stood out to me was the way that Jason Kidd talked about Cooper Flagg. And I think a very slightly different way than what they said at his opening press conference, the way that they treated him. That sounds like they're just bullying him. But, what they challenged him to do in Summer League. Yesterday at Media Day, Jason Kidd said, they want Cooper Flagg to be himself. They don't want Cooper Flagg to carry the weight of the entire team. They want him to, quote, be Cooper Flagg. And that stood out to me because I do think it's just slightly different than what we've been hearing. And as we've talked about how much responsibility is going to be on Cooper Flagg, when I think be Cooper Flagg, I think this is going to be maybe the team's best off-ball offensive player. We'll see how his shooting is. Klay Thompson is more of that. But Cooper Flagg, in terms, he's just a brilliant cutter already. He's 6'8", moves like he does. He's going to be great in transition. He's going to be an off-ball menace defensively. And this was the opening messaging at training camp, at media day, to begin training camp. This was Jason Kidd's opening messaging for Cooper Flagg.
How much of that do you think is like, okay, be himself on the floor, but also be himself off the floor and not feel like he's got to do the Dirk and Luka thing of talking after every game and whatever? Like the outward, the face of this team is still, Kyrie, although he's out, or like Anthony Davis whenever he's out, like Klay Thompson. Like these are going to be the spokesman of the team. Coop is just going to kind of be, sort of hanging out.
And I think when we've talked about this idea, this concept on this show, we've never said like that Dallas is trying to make him the best player on the team right away. I mean, I think it's very clear that they're not. We've just been a little bit worried, and I think those worries can remain, that he is going to be asked to do too much just by proxy, just because if there isn't enough shot creation, as Mark Stein said yesterday, if players are going to play because they can pass, if there isn't enough passing on the floor, sometimes that means that you're just going to devolve to isolation jumpers, isolation opportunities. They're not just going to be Cooper Flagg dribble down, 16 seconds on the shot clock, try to go score against your man. It's going to be more complicated than that. But at some point, Cooper Flagg, I think, is going to be, I think out of everybody on the team, he's probably going to be the player initially, because Kyrie Irving isn't out there, who can most easily get to his shot. And how efficient his shot is, how efficient a 16-foot, 18-foot mid-range jumper is. We saw him struggle in one game with that in Summer League. And then the second game, he was great and amazing. And certainly we think he's going to be something more like the aggregate of those two games. But I do appreciate, I think it's important that this is the initial messaging, that they're looking at Cooper Flagg and saying, be Cooper Flagg, because I think Cooper Flagg is good at so many damn things on the basketball court. And if there's anything that I just don't want him to be quite yet, it's being burdened to be a number one option, number two option, the guy who takes the second most shots on the team behind Anthony Davis. If he can do it, he's going to get that opportunity. But I don't want that to be a necessity, and I do think these quotes, not that I'm shocked by them, but these quotes do reflect that. It certainly shows that what happened over the summer, when they talked about challenging him, putting the ball in his hands, the things that they did at Summer League, those were Summer League things. It's not going to be a one-to-one situation. Never thought it was, for sure, but it was very clear to me that's what Jason Kidd was expounding on, espousing, and wants from Cooper Flagg next season.
There's a big difference between do what you're good at and do everything well. Those are, it sounds the same, but it's not, I promise you. So Kyrie is out, and we learned yesterday, hey, being behind schedule is super bad. No one ever wants to do that, but you better not effing say that he's ahead of schedule. All right. He is right on. The schedule is here, and Kyrie is also right there. All right. He's not here. He's not there. He's there. Okay. It's important. That distinction differs from things we've heard elsewhere, Tim.
So I believe there was a no-name Twitter account that suggested Kyrie was ahead of schedule and posted the video. I believe that happened last week. Did you also see this?
Yeah. I mean, there like fan account, aggregator account. That
I believe there was a fan account that tried to like present it in kind of like this sourcing terminology. Mm-hmm. That's probably what Jason Kidd was referring to. It is funny to me, and I think it is plausible. Who knows? Jason Kidd has been someone who is
he'll get messy.
He'll get passive aggressive. And the most prominent person who said Kyrie Irving was ahead of schedule was Nico Harrison on mic at Summer League on national TV. I still think that it's probably likeliest that Jason Kidd is just kind of referring to the thing broadly speaking overall. He's talking to fan accounts. He's trying to reset expectations. I would be surprised if Jason Kidd wasn't aware that Nico Harrison said that as well.
It wouldn't surprise me. J. Kidd will talk about tweets, though. He'll bring up your tweet, and he'll also say, I don't spend any time on Twitter.
He says he doesn't have a Twitter.
But I saw this post the other day, or I know people are saying, It's like, man, I don't know. J. Kidd. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's important for him to set the expectation. Hey, Rick also would do this a lot. Rick would just come out and say, I don't know when he's coming back. And basically the implication is like, so please stop asking me. Because like, I don't want to talk about it. And I have no information. He's on schedule. What's the schedule? I don't know. I'll give you more information later. So I think J. Kidd is kind of preempting the the next 3 months of, is Kyrie getting closer? Because especially in today's day and age, man, people are going to post. If Kyrie does anything on a basketball court, we're going to see it, and that's only going to lead to more questions.
It's very funny that Jason Kidd just took 0 seconds to get back to Jason Kidd.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He is Jason Kidd.
He's in mid-season form, man.
Yeah, he's at full throttle. He is right back to these passive aggressive, like, won't directly call anybody out, but certainly has. Certainly will. If you read between the lines, we've speculated about who he's like. Calling out. I guess it's not calling out if you don't say the name, but he has certainly targeted quotes at people and tweets and tweeters and just broad Twitter sentiments, and it was like the first thing out of his mouth. Yeah. So Jason Kidd is still Jason Kidd, no question about that.
It was a long off season, but he got his work in. He got his work in. Part of the reason fans want to know about Kyrie is because they're so excited. There are a lot of fans that are kind of feeling weird. There are a lot of fans that are like, no, dude, I'm all in. Let's go. New era. Let's get this thing started. It was a long summer. I'm ready for some basketball. But again, there is that sect that is still kind of uneasy about it. And D-Live kind of had a message for them.
Yeah, he said, Derek Lively asked what his message is to the fans. Turn the page. We have a new star to look at. We're trying to win a championship for this year. We can't change the past. All we can do is focus on the future. I think that's a great sentiment for the players to have. I can't imagine being a player for a team and having any other sentiment.
Yeah.
Like they don't control that stuff, and they're paid a lot of money to be very good. They believe in themselves. 100%. I mean, if this doesn't work, I wonder what they'll think about it then. But they don't look back at last season and think, well, we weren't amazing in that playing game against Memphis, and lost to the Clippers twice and lost to the Lakers. No, they look back at last season and said we weren't healthy, and that is the right mentality to have. That's 100%. I wouldn't expect anything less from the players. I think the fans are, right again to feel whatever they want to feel. I went looking, reminding myself like what I'd missed from Media Day on Reddit Mavs. Reddit Mavs is still Reddit, the Mavericks subreddit, as opposed to the Twitter account Reddit Mavs, who is a good friend of the show.
Still good Twitter account, but
yeah, but just specifying, and the top comment on there, and that is a very very pro Luka subreddit and segment of fan bases, and you can go other places and find people who are more just ready to get this moving on. And the top comment on that was voted up was the right way to move on is to fire Nico. That sentiment is going to persist. It's going to remain. It's going to be around the team. It's not going to be avoidable. I think that I still get the sense that most parts of the fan base want to enjoy this team coming up this year, and that anybody who is so hurt by the trade is moved on, and that's obviously perfectly within your rights. But I think what Lively said is perfectly fine, and it's been a struggle for us trying to figure out how much to talk about it, to not talk about it. Sometimes feeling like we had to talk about it when we didn't want to talk about it. How many times has that happened? Like we are trying as well. We've had to talk a lot about a lot of different things. And, for the majority of 3 months now, it has been 80, 90, 95, 98% about the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, doing, if they were to fire Nico, that might, improve some fans' mood, but that's not going to do anything to help the locker room. So it's just one of those weird things where like you're making a decision for the fan, you're making a decision for the players, and usually those things are in concert. Not right now completely, but they got hopefully 25 years of Cooper Flagg to help mend that and
modern medicine
basketball.
Dude, it's going to be like 37.
37. Yeah. 55-year-old Cooper Flagg out here giving me 25 and 10. Yeah, we got a couple other things, but maybe we can get to those either later in the show or just never,
I don't need to touch on them.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll never get to
Dennis Smith Jr. All these changes, and I still got my dog Dwight Powell with me. Well, I don't need to touch on it, but I was just going to read it. That quote's from Locked On. They did an interview with Dennis.
Yeah, they did a lot of kind of side interviews, not from podium, so go check it out on their YouTube page.
Absolutely.
Don't listen to the podcast, all right? Only listen to ours. But you can watch their videos only if you want.
You can do both.
I don't know. You should just maybe rate them 4 stars. Maybe rate us 5 stars. How about that? All right, coming up next, we are going to talk about why the Mavs could and should play faster here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Boussier Development, or Boussier, the ultra-luxury home builder of modern villas inspired by the Mediterranean lifestyle. A lifestyle I spend most days chasing towards, trying to just remember, okay, WWMD. Yep. What would Mediterraneans do right now?
Well, what they would do is they'd relax, they'd be very comfortable, and they'd be living the effing dream, dude, on the side of a cliff, staring at the sea.
Boussier Developments is an ultra-luxury home builder specializing in modern villas inspired by the Mediterranean lifestyle. They offer a fully integrated turnkey experience providing in-house architectural design, interior design, engineering, and construction services. Whether custom or spec, they create villas that bring the feeling of resort-style living to their clients, blending elegance and comfort in every detail from concept to completion. Their villas are designed to reflect the unique vision of each homeowner, delivering an exceptional living experience that feels both luxurious and inviting. If you're ready to experience your villa living, visit boussierdev.com and tell them DLLS sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Nasser Jewelers in Rockwall. Shout out to George, longtime supporter of the show and a big Mavs fan. If you need something custom or if you're shopping for some diamond jewelry, then head over to Nasser Jewelers. I'm on their Instagram page here, Nasser Jewelers Rockwall. Tim, this first thing that I'm seeing is I can't even count the number of carats in this diamond, but luckily the caption tells me 6.5 carats of lab-grown diamonds and timeless 14-carat white gold. That thing is shiny.
That thing is sick.
It is sparkling, and they got more than just engagement rings. They got regular rings. They got all sorts of jewelry. Are you a watch guy?
I'm becoming a watch guy, yes.
All right, well, then you should go to Nasser Jewelers.
I left mine at home today. But
if you go there and you mention DLLS, you'll get 20% off custom orders for diamond jewelry, plus a free jewelry cleaning. That's Nasser Jewelers in Rockwall. Tell George the DLLS Mavs sent you. All right, welcome back to the DLLS Mavs podcast. It's Bobby Krell, it's Tim Cato, it's Tanner Rotman, and it's time to run. All right, and when you're tired, you got to run some more, and when you're exhausted, you got to run some more, or you got to do the thing where you kind of pull your jersey.
Clay had a media day quote about that, where he's like, he likes to know who he is when his heart rate is like bursting and high, and he likes to challenge himself in those ways. And as somebody who is trying to challenge myself more in many different ways in my life, like, I love that quote. That was so cool.
Yeah, that legitimately is a great quote.
It's like one of those quotes that I used to think 10 years ago was corny. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, brother. And now I'm like, wait, no, that is the quintessential human experience.
Yeah, no.
It is about like who you are at your tiredest and at your like heaviest breathing moments.
Well, just in different frames of mind, too. Yeah. Like exhaustion is a physical state, but also it's a mental state. It's like getting comfortable with that feeling and getting comfortable in those spaces is very important, because then you also get to know, like, okay, when am I at my best and why? And if I feel this way, then what happens to me, and how does that impact my decision making or my state of mind or my level of focus and concentration? All these things, like that's a really deep quote, man. Clay's the best. But the Mavs need to play fast, and we think that they will. But why do we think they need to?
Should we reset why we think that? I mean,
why we think they will, or why I think the why is more important than the what here.
Yeah, you're right. And look, I think that for Dallas to steal, I think Dallas's half-court offense is just inherently, until Kyrie gets back, not going to be as efficient as we've seen, as we've been accustomed to. That's pretty obvious. Luka Doncic is, along with Jokic, probably the best half-court offense generator in the entire NBA. And it's those two. And now they don't have that guy. And it doesn't matter what you think of the Mavs offense, it is objectively not going to be as good as the best Luka offenses. There may be some ways that it hums a little bit better, that more touches go around, that, you know, in one way Dallas's offenses, especially early on in the Luka tenure, one thing they didn't do is they didn't run, because Luka didn't want to run. Now, Luka did a much better job of that over the past couple of years, and I think it's going to be even more important this year, because every time Dallas gets into a half-court possession, it's just going to be a little bit harder. There aren't going to be the people who know where all four, they don't have the point guard who knows where all four players on the court is and is manipulating the defense in that way. So I don't really think that they're going to have anybody to manipulate the defense. And increasingly, there's a lot of star guards that typically helm the best offenses who do exactly that. Now, when we say run, it can mean two different things. I do think it's important for Dallas to get out in transition and get dunks, to get alley-coops, as I continue to try to coin. Honestly, I think it's coined. I think everybody...
And alley gaffs and alley lives.
Yes. They're all alley cats.
Yep.
As the great Dwayne Price would say.
Oh.
But I also think that there is a difference between playing quick and playing fast. Playing fast is like tempo, pace, how many fast breaks you get. But playing quick just means you get up the court and you get into your first action earlier on the shot clock, which gives you more time especially for worse half-court offenses, to find a solution to the defense in front of them. And that's something Indiana did. And I've got a story coming tomorrow. It's going to be for DLS diehards, but also all diehards. Kind of a more of a nationally focused thing that should resonate with everybody. Talked about how everybody wants the Pacers space. It's something I've heard, something I heard out in Summer League when I was talking to various, executives and, assistant coaches, people that I knew. And, and then I've heard it, like even like Zach Lowe is talking about how everybody is still talking about the Pacers. He talks to even higher level, like he's talking to everybody. I heard it, he's heard it. Everybody is hearing how much people are still wowed by the Pacers run. The Pacers ran pretty fast, but they weren't like the best fast break team in the league. They were the quickest team in the league. They were the team that got into actions before anybody else. They moved the ball. They had the most touches in the postseason of any team. There's the second most touches in the regular season. The only team that topped them was the Golden State Warriors. Them and the Warriors have been trading off the number one spot for the past 4 seasons. The Warriors, their entire offense is based around like multiple touches because of Steph. The closest we've seen someone duplicated recently is Indiana. But they've also set 561 screens with 20 or more seconds on the shot clock with their first action. That means the ball's past half court and they're already into their first offensive set. They're already starting to do the thing that is supposed to get them advantage, an advantage over the defense. And I think the more Dallas can do that, it's going to matter. It's going to help their half-court offense. It's going to help them, get out and run. Sometimes when you rush up and you get up there, you realize, one of the opponents didn't get back and we've got an open corner 3. That's a good shot. Klay Thompson is going to have a bunch of those. But sometimes it just means that you are giving yourself more time to break down a defense, to break a defense, to make them make a mistake. Because pretty much every time you score in the NBA, I guess less so with like the amount of step back threes and stuff, are you really making a mistake on that? But so many buckets are scored because you get the defense to make a mistake. And the quicker you get into your set, the easier it is to do that.
Yeah, I think it's not so much even about just like doing something early. It's trying to create some chaos. Like you're forcing the other guys to make a decision, like what we just talked about with Klay. I want to know who I am when I'm exhausted. Well, nothing is more tiring than getting your butt back on defense after one of your teammates takes a bad shot and clanks off the side of the rim and the other team has the ball. And you're kind of mad because you were open. So you're sort of shaking your head or rolling your eyes, or you're listening to some jabroni in the front row calling you a bum. And you're like, bro, I didn't even take the shot. And so like you're just kind of, and it's like your third game in the last 5 nights. You're just mad. And then all of a sudden, Klay Thompson's running off a screen. Oh, that's my guy, dude. And you're just, that's it. It's over. The Mavs have already scored. And so you're forcing teams to just pay more attention to details. And that's really frustrating, especially when things aren't going well for them offensively. And the Mavs are going to be a defensive first team. Being a really good defense is demoralizing to the offense, like in ways that having a really good offense is not really demoralizing to the defense. Like the defenders are going to be like, man, whatever, you made a shot, like it's fine, but if you're on offense and you're just running into a brick wall over and over and over again, it kind of diminishes your will, And so if the Mavs are going to be this stalwart defensive team, but that can also get out on the open floor and 4 or 5 seconds into the shot clock, they're making something happen, then it's kind of like, it sort of saps your will to want to play. Like you're kind of like, dude, I'm over this. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, like this sucks. Like take me out of the game. I'd rather be anywhere else in the world right now than right here.
One thing I've talked about with the Mavericks is that I think a lot of their players are kind of best as a weak side help roamer on the defensive end. And I have a little bit of hesitation. I think defensively, if there's a skill that Cooper Flagg is probably weakest at right now, it's guarding guards. But I already envision a scenario where him guarding on the perimeter, which means that when the other team misses a shot, he is already pretty much at the top of the key, and he has an easy run out to go from there.
Yeah, just fling that ball down the floor, man.
That's a bonus. Anthony Davis does not run like that at this point in his career. He has been part of fast tempo offenses, but he doesn't run quite like that. Cooper Flagg at the top of the key, where he can just go outpace somebody, and he is, basically like the biggest tight end you've ever seen in football. You can just throw it up to him anywhere. That's a real advantage. Klay Thompson guarding point of attack, like the easiest way. Obviously, a man-to-man, you're going to get all scattered all over the court. Like that is inherently what happens in a help man scheme. Imagine a 2-3 zone. Imagine when they run zone and they got Klay Thompson and Cooper Flagg as, it'll probably be D'Angelo Russell a lot of the times, kind of up high. But if you've ever got Cooper up high, and I think in a 2-3 zone, he kind of does make sense. He makes some sense there. That is just picture perfect for him to break out on every shot. And I think teams, I kind of think rest defense, it's a soccer term. It's about how you get back and defend transitions. I kind of think it's becoming a more important thing in the NBA than ever, that like teams are really, really making sure they have numbers back in transition. But you can't do it every time. Sometimes you just don't have the personnel to do it. And I think Cooper just outpacing people is going to be really valuable. And also, if somebody comes back with him, if he's outpacing someone to the rim, that leaves room for a Klay Thompson to float into the three-point line because Cooper Flagg has made that sprint. Derek Lively, we know, is going to make those sprints. Daniel Gafford is going to make those sprints. That's why they often play in 4 or 5 minute sub patterns, so they can make those runs every time. And that stretches the defense. That allows for players to fill in, like Klay Thompson on the wings, taking threes. I think a huge person, maybe the most important person, especially early in the season, for the Mavericks to play both fast and quick is going to be D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo has had a lot of different styles and ways that he's played, but he is a guy who accrues assists, and he is a guy who has been part of high-tempo offenses before. Kenny Atkinson is one of the, his hallmark with the Brooklyn Nets when he spent 4 seasons coaching them was really quick-tempoed stuff. They were another team that actually outdid the Indiana Pacers in terms of early shot clock actions. They're over the last 13 seasons, they were the number 1 team. Over the course of one season, the 18-19 season, which was the season where D'Angelo was their point guard, that was the most actions we've seen from any team within 20 seconds or 20 seconds or more on the shot clock. So they got into stuff really quickly. And D'Angelo was the point guard on that team, him and Spencer Dinwiddie. I think that if D'Angelo can buy into it like that, I'm a little bit more bullish on this offense than I would be otherwise.
Yeah, and another thing that Brooklyn team has in common with this Mavs team is they had a lot of guys that played regularly, but they didn't have. I mean, D'Lo made the All-Star team that year, but they didn't have any other guys that would really be considered necessarily even like an above-average player. I mean, they just had a bunch of guys but they rolled deep. They played very fast. Everyone on that team averaged between 8 and 13 points a game, and they just kind of made it happen out there collectively. And it's tough to guard. And I mean, this Mavs team, I think, has a lot of good players. They don't have a lot of guys. They got a lot of really good players. But they have a lot of them, and we've talked about where are all these minutes going to come from? But if the plan is for the entire team to just play 24 minutes a game, go out there for 4 minutes, run your ass off, and then whenever you're tired, I'll sub you out and, replace them with someone that's almost just as good as you and does kind of the same thing as you, then, that could be, it would be fun to watch. If they just breathtaking basketball.
If this is the team that is making the most substitutions per game, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That would be a lot of fun. And it is right now, as we kind of look at this team, there's a lot of reasons to think it's set up a little bit like that.
Yeah, I have a couple more thoughts on this that I want to get to. And then there's also some league-wide trends that we're going to predict coming up in the next segment. But
thank God we have a next segment, don't we?
Yeah, we do. There's always another segment, and that one is coming up right after this on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. NFL games are coming up. I mean, I'm already thinking ahead to the World Cup, which that's a whole other ticketing process. But let me tell you, if anybody can help you out with that, it's Game Time. It's always going to be Game Time. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means that you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. I've been kind of more focused on movie tickets of late. You guys might have heard there's a movie. I'm going and seeing one battle after another again tonight. But the great thing about Game Time is you can buy all sorts of tickets there. You can buy comedy shows, concerts. It's not just for sports. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for the NFL games to come or whatever else you're looking to buy with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Game Time? Big weekend for me on Prize Picks. All right, Micah Parsons recorded a sack for 0 yards. I didn't know that counted as a sack, but it did, and your boy took home more than 100 buckaroos because of that.
Nice.
So, thank you, Micah Parsons. The fancy schmancy dinner I'm going to treat myself to tonight is dedicated to you, pal. Prize Picks is so much fun. Just combine between 2 and 6 players, predict whether they're going to get more or less than a projected stat. In football, it could be catches, it could be attempts, it could be yards, it could be touchdowns, it could be literally anything. What's the longest carry of the game, the longest reception of the game, number of times they're going to get the ball per quarter. You can do all of that and a whole lot more. It's a whole lot of fun. And now that NBA stuff is firing up again too, you're going to be able to do a lot of that. And I will give you picks every single night on Prize Picks. So download Prize Picks today and use code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's go DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
That was my last DLLS ad read.
Yeah, and
so it's only fitting I went 15 seconds over.
Yeah, and you bungled that word so bad. I regret to inform you that this is Tim's final show. After that,
what?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you off the show.
Okay.
You're a little too volatile with your ad reads. So a couple more.
What? Clarence stays?
Well, Clarence doesn't do ad reads. we don't let Clarence do ad reads. Jesse and Jeff are true pros. Stay tuned. Okay, so in closing on Mavs pay stuff before we look at some league-wide trends here on the DLS Mavs podcast. Last season, so just if we're talking transition, so like a transition possession in the NBA is basically if you take a shot, get fouled, turn the ball over, or do whatever in a you're not just pushing the ball up the floor and then pulling it out and getting into a half-court set. The possession is starting and ending with a transition opportunity. Almost 20% of the Mavs possessions last year were transition opportunities, which was a top 10 mark in the league. Now, they only scored 1.11 points per possession in transition, which was a bottom 10 mark in the league. So they were relatively inefficient in the open floor. But I would easily just look at that and say, all right, well, they had Kyrie out like for a ton of the year. Luka was out and then traded. AD came and then was out. So like they never really had like all of their horses, right? But one thing that they did do pretty consistently in the open floor last season, which I'm hoping they can avoid this year, is turn the ball over. They turned it over 12.5% of the time in transition last season, which is 1 out of every 8 fast breaks became a turnover. And we frequently
that's pretty high.
Yeah, we frequently bemoaned the PJ Washington dribble off the knee play that they ran a lot, and
that's the guy who comes to mind the most immediately.
And I mean, as far as turnovers go, I mean, like there were some charges. I guess you have some lobs that could go awry, but like I don't remember many just like straight up bad choices that they made in the open floor. But that is a lot, and all of the teams with the exception of the Nuggets and the Rockets, the Mavs finished by quick eye test about 8th in turnover frequency last year in transition, like 8th from the bottom. Only 2 teams that turned it over more often than them made the playoffs. So if you're sloppy in the open floor as opposed to taking advantage of those opportunities, it's going to cost you.
And that is probably something that Cooper will have to adjust to. It's just out of all the things to expect from Cooper, I think the thing I'm least worried about for his first 20, 30, 40 games is how many turnovers he's committing. But that will have an effect. There is just naturally an adjustment that comes to handling the ball as a tall dude who just hyper athletic for his size, but in some ways still growing into his body. I mean, that's just something that's going to happen. So,
what do you think so some teams will just like play chaotic, like OKC, for example. They're just going to play chaotic on defense, and they're going to jump passing lanes. They're going to get it. They're going to get in your shorts to try and force turnovers and get out and run. I don't think the Mavs necessarily have the personnel for that. But do you think they're going to be a little take some gambles in passing lanes, or do you think they're just going to look to run off of misses, or how do you think they're going to get in the open floor?
D'Lo had a quote that I should have clipped it or at least pulled but it was something to the effect of he appreciated he was asked about his synergy playing with AD, and he talked about how he appreciated playing with the Lakers because they also understood like his defensive deficiencies, but they tried to pair him with somebody that allowed him to challenge himself on the defensive side and know that there's like a rim protector, shot blocker back there, and he could be a little bit more active and aggressive. I don't quite know what to make of that quote, but I think so every coach, pretty much every coach talks about playing faster, playing quicker in training camp. So even when I say all this stuff, like I do think teams saw the proof of concept with the Pacers and are even going to be more diligent, militant about it this season. I do think that we're going to see things speed up. But one obvious counter for that is that you just have backcourt pressure. And that's something Indiana was also the best team in the league at. They were stealing seconds from your offense and gaining seconds for their offense just by how quickly they got up at the court. And that absolutely allowed them to, you look at them top to bottom, and maybe talent-wise, they're a touch below. Certainly they were surprised to make the run that they did. That's a huge part of it. I don't know if Dallas has a lot of like full court pressure guys. I don't know how much D'Lo's going to do that. Clay certainly isn't. Max, Christie, and Caleb Martin once they get off the bench, yes. Brandon Williams, yeah, dude. You're going to have to be doing that pretty much every time. Certainly there's going to be a lot of, Dallas is going to ask their bench players to do that, I think, and especially if there are quicker, more rotations.
I do think that when J-Kidd says something, he more so than many other coaches, I think, is able to generate that buy-in to do the thing that he's talking about. Like, yes, every coach says we want to play faster, but the first time J-Kidd said we want to play faster, they went from like 27th in pace to like 8th, like overnight. So right. I do think that his words carry a little bit of weight. But yeah, I don't know. I think the way that they're going to play defense, maybe not like double team everyone and, just play like maniacs, but basically be as aggressive as you can, but also ensure that if you get beat in a very specific way, going a very specific direction where you will have help. So it's like, here are the firm rules, but then do the most that you can within those confines.
Was it the finals run or the conference finals run where it was very noticeable that Dallas was having its perimeter point of attack defenders shade opponents towards the middle rather than the sides? I think it was the finals run.
I don't remember them doing that in 22 at all.
Yeah, but in 24, Dallas had Luka and Kyrie and all their perimeter guys, where more often you force opponents to the sideline because that's the sideline and the out-of-bound line, every single high school coach you've ever had.
That's another defender.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Dallas tried to funnel them into their center, but also into their centers. And because they ran so many schemes where they sagged off so aggressively of non-shooters, they really ran like quasi-zones. And they did a great job finding ways and then refinding ways to make sure their center stayed home. And so instead of shading you more towards the baseline, more towards that second defender, they're just like, hey, drive right into the teeth of our defense. And that's why Chet Holmgren, who had been pretty bad that entire Oklahoma City series, because he had been a spacer that Dallas just ignored, all of a sudden when he moved, remember Game 7, guys, if you think back to Game 7 of that run to the finals, Chet Holmgren moved to the dunker spot and got like 5 alley-oop dunks from that exact location because all of a sudden, Dallas was shading people in the middle, but then Derek Lively had to step up and that backside lob was open because Chet Holmgren is like 7'1", and Derek Jones, as high as he can leap, can't like physically be there with the right timing to disrupt a lob to someone from the dunker spot. So that is an option because Dallas theoretically now has someone on the weak side who can also disrupt the dunker spot lob. It is plausible. It's possible. It's something they can do more often. A lot of it is just going to be about, how do you make sure all the right players are in the right spaces? It's not just about, the center is coming up to screen for the point guard. The opposing center is coming up to screen for the opposing point guard. How do we switch AD off or make sure that he's not on the main screener so he's always down low? Now it's about can you also keep Cooper down low? Can you keep PJ Washington? Can you always have the second guy, the second help defender down there? You just have so many weak side protectors that, just making sure that they aren't all getting dragged out to the perimeter, making sure that you have your wall, your build the wall, Stan Van Gundy, in the paint. That is going to be really critical. I'm pretty sure Jason Kidd's up for it. His defenses have always been very, very sharp in these ways. They've always been very impressive.
Yeah, I think, whenever you have those kind of roaming guys, it can make the offensive team feel like, man, it feels like they just have an extra player.
Yeah.
It feels like it's 5-on-6. There should be space here. There's not. There's a limb here. I should have a layup here, but I got to pass. Who am I going to pass to? I can't even see anything. That's in the ideal. That's that's why the defense needs to get set. I think the Mavs have enough kind of size and athletes on this team to where if a game is just back and forth windshield wiper basketball, that they can be fine because they just got a bunch of dudes that are going to leap and contest you in transition. But whenever they get set and if they can execute well, I think they could be very good.
This is why
your margins are very, very thin.
This is why I think Dallas is just going to crush bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bad teams don't have the mismatch creators to get Dallas's best defenders away from the paint, and Dallas has so many of them that it's just also bad teams often have weak shooting links. They have weak offensive players who
part of the reason they're bad.
Huge part of the reason they're bad. There's the whole weak link, strong link theory. I do worry about the quick point guards that can get into the center of the paint and then make a read and keep the offense moving.
Yeah, the high level teams.
Yeah, and again, I'm talking about 10 point guards in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I could pull up a list and go down and say this one worries me, this one doesn't.
They all play on the teams that you're trying to pass.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about Anthony Simons per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's the teams above that. And then yeah, there is some concern about just the teams that don't offer weak links. That is still a concern. I don't think Dallas has a lot of weak defenders that are ever going to be on the court. I think D'Angelo's even going to probably be fine, but it's just harder to play that style. It's harder to just completely pack the paint. But I think when Dallas goes up against bad teams, they're going to shoot a lot of bad threes. It is not going to go well for bad teams, and that is why any slight regrets I've had about how many wins Dallas is going to get, I really think they're just going to demolish the bottom 12-ish teams of the NBA.
There aren't a lot of bad teams.
That's true. That's
There's
true.
only
There's
6
definitely
or 7
just
stinky teams.
Right.
No,
100%.
All right, before we go to break, K-Town with the $2 super. Shout out K-Town. Thanks. Mavs commit more to transition defense or to offensive rebounding this season? Normally, it is kind of a choice. You got to do one or the other. I don't think that they need to make that choice, though,
I think they have enough tall guys out there that, you can send your one or two guys to rebound and
still get it at above average.
On the flip side, if you've got 3 guys back and both your bigs crash, that usually means you have 3 guys between 6 foot and 6'6". And if Dallas is starting lineup, let's even imagine I'm not even imagining the scenario where it's Cooper and PJ. But you have one of Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively back. Even if you're sending 2 guys to the offensive glass, I think that they're going to be. I would agree. It may not be as much of a choice as that might be one of the luxuries of how big Dallas is. That isn't really a choice.
Yeah, they could be a top 10 offensive rebounding and top 10 transition defense team. And normally it's really, really hard to be very good at both because one kind of means that you're not doing the other, or transition frequency, I should say, not points per possession. It's going to be really hard to run on the Mavs, and they could also get a lot of offensive rebounds, I think, if everything goes well. But it's got to go well in order to do that.
I agree.
All right. Coming up next, we're saying goodbye to Tim. Get your Kleenex ready and cue the Sarah McLachlan. It's coming up right after this on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But first, you should become a diehard. And folks, we're running a variety of deals right now. We got our classic $36 for the first year. You get a free shirt when you sign up. It's awesome. We also got a new deal right now. It is, does that say 59, Tanner? I believe 59 for the first year, and you get a hat, and that is a branded Bills hat. That is a good, high-quality hat. That hat, oh my God. I see one right here. It's Jeff Wilson. Dude, it's a good hat. You're a hat guy. What do you think about the hat?
It's a very good hat. My wife likes it too.
Oh,
man, that's the 2-for-2 combo.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Another great thing about becoming a
diehard, your wife will like it.
You get to read all of Jeff Wilson's coverage. There was some interesting Rangers news last night, all right? And our guys hopped on that. Shout out to Tanner for producing that show. But Jeff is going to be bringing you the best coverage of the Rangers managerial search, all that's going on with Bruce Bochy, and answering the obvious question of whether or not there's more stuff coming on the horizon. Their show starts in about 15 minutes, but Jeff's coverage is coming to you all day long on alldlls.com, and the only way to read that stuff is by becoming a diehard, so scan that QR code. When you sign up, you get either the hat for free with the 59 or the shirt for free at the 36. You get to join the DLLS Diehard Discord, great place to hang out. You get to again, read the website. You get your physical diehard card. You get a discount on any merch, discount on any events, and some of the new merch that we just dropped, Tanner. Look at that sweet, sweet, sweet Paige Becker's inspired roadie shirt. Not a bad one, all right? I may or may not have already ordered one of those myself. Okay, that is a good-looking shirt. That's a new colorway in the DLLS
electric
universe.
Blue.
Yeah, that is a.
I'm sure it's wings blue again.
Just like the basketball on the court, hopefully for many years to come for the Dallas Wings and their fans. All of those reasons and more, you should become a diehard. So check out alldls.com today. All right, Tim Cato, Tim the Catman Cato.
Man,
it's his last show with us here at the DLLS Mavs podcast. Daniel Escobar just dropped a $50 super chat, man. Shout out, Daniel. Thank you so much for that.
Man, Daniel.
Gonna miss you, Cato.
These comments are making me feel stuff, man, already. Like they're already getting to me a little bit before we even got to the segment.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, Daniel, and for all your support for all our shows.
You're
honestly,
real,
man.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah, dude.
So for those who don't know, real quick, Tim has been with us obviously since we launched. Has been covering the Mavs for a really long time. But beginning in like 12 hours, he's going national. So Tim, what exactly does that mean?
So I'm still at ALLCITY, which means I will still be on the show sometimes. Sometimes you have not seen the last of me. You don't have to go. You know, like I'm not hold
the mock funeral outside the DLS headquarters.
No, don't do riots outside of Dirk's statue. But seriously, you know, I'm not out here like hawking some other company or podcast or anything like that. You know, stay tuned. You know, there may be stuff, but I will be on this podcast again on a regular basis. But it's a regular basis that is not going to be 5 times a week.
And all of your written stuff will be available on our website, correct?
Yes. And in fact, you know, for the regular season, at least the regular season, I will be in Dallas. I will still be at Mavs games. I will be seeing a lot of stuff. You know, I will probably be, you know, I'll pop up here in studio sometimes. Like I can promise you that. You know, it's near the arena. It's near my place. You know, but yes, my national role at ALLCITY is that I am covering, you know, the entire league, and I'm writing content geared towards any fan of any team. You know, that's really my mission. You know, we don't, you know, cities we don't cover. I don't need to go do a extensive deep dive profile on, you know, somebody off their bench. Maybe I will. I'm not ruling it out, but you know, it's trend stories. You know, it's some stuff that you know and love. You know, I'll be doing power rankings every other week, stuff like that. But it's going to be more that adds to your diehard content. It's going to be feature stories that I've always most enjoyed writing. And I'll be on all the shows across the network, you know, all the NBA shows, and hoping to add to them as somebody who is very familiar with the format, very familiar with what we do. You know, I've got friends all over the network who are on these shows. I'm excited to, you know, hopefully build up a little bit of chemistry with them. Hopefully, you know, I heard there's a show in Dallas, a Mav show in Dallas. Hopefully
there is.
Hopefully they're cool and I can build up chemistry with them.
They're not. They're very lame.
Okay. Yeah, but it feels like feels like I'm, like the fourth or fifth person. And this has been in the works since I came here. So it was not because of Luka. It is very funny that they trade Luka, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's like vindication that I made the right choice, and then they go draft Cooper Flagg.
Then they get Cooper Flagg, and you're like,
but,
well, I guess
yeah, I've known Bobby since 2014.
No, 2013.
2013.
So Tim and I go way back. All right. My
12
first
years, yeah.
ever thing that I did for the Mavs was cover their first practice of the season the day after Media Day of 2013.
It might have been today.
I had
been 12 years ago today.
Freaking idea what I was doing, dude.
You were interning for the Mavs?
Yeah. And I had I wasn't even an intern. I was just a freelancer at the time. But I walked into the practice court and I was like, dude, I truly am so confused right now. And Tim was the first person. I was like, oh, at first he was the first person I ran into, but also he kind of looked my age. So I was like, hey, can you kind of like help me?
I think I remember seeking you out for the same reason. I had a Caesar credential for 1 year before that. I'd gone to North Texas because I was already writing for Mavs Moneyball, and through a very amusing, complicated story, Dallas has a franchise credentialed to everybody. And I was 18 years old the first Mavs game I went to as a season credentialed media member. And it led to the next year. And, I guess I knew a little bit at that point, but not a lot. I was on the old practice court. And I just kept doing this year after year after year. And, it's very interesting that something that I kind of just chose to do at 18 led me to where I am now. And I'm so grateful, like so happy about that. But it's also something that after doing it for 13 years, I did feel like it was time to challenge myself in a slightly different way. And I think this is a great next step. I'm excited for it, very excited for it. But I'm going to miss. Yeah.
Not all nice.
Not all nice.
All right.
I don't have any.
Not all nice.
I don't have any.
But I'm gonna miss everybody. I'm gonna miss Chad. I'm gonna miss DLLS. Like I said, I'll still be here. Invite me to the Christmas party. But it's.
Are we having one?
Oh, that was a one and done.
Yeah, it's not. It's first off, it's not a Christmas party.
Okay, holiday party. That's what I meant.
So it's we got to do a little roasting. So like I said, I've known Tim for a really long time. And as with anytime we get two strong alpha males like us in a friendship, we're gonna do quite a bit of roasting each other. And so I decided to find the best picture that Tim and I ever took together, and we're gonna show it off here. Look at that! Just look at that! Just a beautiful photo. That is from
where was this?
So we were at an unnamed taco location in West Dallas whenever Becca was in
this
town.
taco joint?
Okay, like I said, this was an unnamed taco location in West Dallas. This was in 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
So spring of 2015.
Man.
But Tim and I have been through a lot of other things as well outside of basketball. We have we've hosted the first ever episode of the Mavs Moneyball podcast together. We launched DLLS together. We covered the Luka trade together, but we also shot fireworks together. And this is a photo from one of our exploits back whenever we were with Illumination Fireworks.
Did you ever watch Justified?
No.
Man. Okay, anybody who watched Justified, he sounds like we dug coal together.
Well, we did. We
kind of did.
We blew some stuff up together. A lot of familiar faces in that photo, but that's me on the back right. That's Tim kind of in the middle there, sort of in the back. That was the day of a Mavs preseason game, and to date, I think, until I took this job, because I had to do some work travel, so I missed some games this past season. Until I took this job, I can only remember missing one other Mavs game since that preseason game. That was October of 2014. That was a Clyde Warren Park fall event. Jason Derulo gave a concert, and we did a fireworks show after that we helped set up. And it's been a very long time.
I forgot it was Jason Derulo. I do remember.
That's the second time I saw Jason Derulo for that job.
I do remember Vanilla Ice in Gun Barrel City. You might not have been on that show.
I did a show in Gun Barrel City, but you were not at that one. So
okay.
that must have been
I did one a different year, and yeah, you were not the lead on that one. But man, that was an experience. We've been on the Baylor Stadium rooftop together.
We have.
Yeah,
we have. Tim took a very good photo of me doing that.
I did. I don't know where it is.
Well, we've shown it off in the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, haven't we actually posted it?
We have. Yeah, if you dig through the archives.
Man.
All right, let's get through some supers, and then you can say your final farewell, Tim. So first off, from GM Ben, $2. Tim, I need your parking badge.
I don't know what happened to it.
Well, actually, we do need that. Please give that. Like, we have a limited amount. It would be really good. Like right now, I don't even know if I have one. Ozzy D with the $4.99. Thank you, Cato, for helping us get through the Luka disaster. Always enjoyed your commentary. Good luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you, Ozzy. What a year to go out on.
Yeah, truly. I mean,
oh my God, on a show that we did 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours a week sometimes. You know, that Luka week, we were probably on air like 10.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We did a lot of time. And before I came here, I had been in I came from the Athletic. There had been conversations about leaving Dallas, leaving the Mavs beat even before I came here. And can I genuinely say from the bottom of my heart, like, I am so grateful that I was here covering the Mavericks. It's like Luka was somebody, like Luka was very special to me in a journalistic way. And I don't care if people want to say that means I'm a Luka homer or whatever. I took the Mavs beat writing job at The Athletic weeks before the draft, not knowing that I was signing up for Luka. And within a year,
you beat me out for that job, by the way, you bastard. Can I say that?
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. We dug coal together.
Well, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I've called you worse.
and I didn't know what I was signing up for. And then, I'm so grateful for The Athletic, which sent me out of the country for the first time in my life to go to Slovenia. And I didn't even see or talk to, or I don't even know if Luka was there at the time, but I wrote a story that's still very special to me about Slovenia and what it represents. And, and then, I was just in the ups and downs of this guy's career. And I left The Athletic after he went to the finals. And, of course I do feel a little bit of indebted. Luka was, I think he knows my name. He's probably forgot it by now. It's not like he was ever he was never the Dirk, when it came to the media, he was never late stage Dirk Nowitzki. I didn't rue him for that, but he wasn't. But I am very grateful that I got to witness 6-7 years of a very, very special, talented player. And it is very special to be there from the start. So in that sense, I do understand. And I'm glad I was there for the end of it. I'm glad that I was here in Dallas, able to, talk about that, work through the surprise, work through the shock. It feels like the perfect coda to my time in Dallas that, yes, I started covering them before. The other thing that's very special to me is I got to cover Dirk's final year. That is very, very special to me that I was an athletic beat writer for Dirk's last season. And then I got to cover the entirety of Luka's career. And so I do feel like all of the codas, all of the perfect bow ribbons, maybe not perfect, obviously a new era starting now with Cooper. But, I think that's for somebody else. I think that's for somebody else to cover. And I'm really jealous of who gets to beat that. But I never felt like it was going to be me. And so I'm just very, 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 very grateful for everything the Mavericks have given me job-wise, professionally. I feel really fortunate. Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting off and monologuing, but
no, you're good, man.
Man, I really, I'm really grateful for all that.
Ozzy D with the $4.99. Bobby, can you put a framed picture of Cato with angel wings on set? I don't know if I'm that talented in Photoshop.
No, you should put me. You should put me over the photo of Omax.
Oh no!
But it's still your reaction.
Oh no! We have. Yeah, I think just like a big Tim Cato fat head.
And every once in a while, when I'm here in studio, I'll just pop out from behind it.
Just once, we could put you in the like a Big Brother size Tim Cato head, just right next to the Big Brother's big sister. But yeah, if you're joining late, Tim is kind of going somewhere. Like he's still going to live here, still going to be around, still going to be on the show every now and then. But he's going to be bringing all diehards across the entire ALLCITY network coverage. If you're a subscriber, hey, if you're a diehard, you're going to read all this stuff. And if you're not, then you're going to be feeling a lot of FOMO because Tim has broken some very big stories and written some really good analysis and features throughout his still, well, I don't know, you're kind of, It's not a young career, right? Isn't it a young career?
Who knows anymore?
His old career. He's not washed yet. He's gonna end. He's gonna see out his prime with national coverage for the All-City Network. So, Tim, congratulations, man. Cheers on a great run.
Cheers.
There are some weeks when years happen, and there are some years when weeks happen. And the first year together at the DLLS Mavs show was podcast, not show.
Thank you, everybody.
At times it felt like seconds, and at times it felt like decades, but we made through it together, and it was awesome. Best of luck at National.
Thank you.
Tanner, do you have any final words for Tim?
Thank you, Tanner.
That is some tear-jerking stuff.
Thank you, Tanner. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Yeah. For
yeah, I don't know. On Thursday, can you help us, please? Like, it's just me and KG on Thursday. Like, joining us as always, Tim Cato.
Yeah. I'll call in just to make it feel slightly different or something. I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'll still be on.
There's got to be a cool down period. We can't get all sappy and then like, all right, you're on tomorrow's show. Like, we'll hit you up in like 3 or 4 weeks. All right. No,
it'll be bi-weekly. Bi-weekly at worst.
Does that mean twice a week or every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But
biannual and biennial is actually the difference. Biannual is twice a year. Okay. Biennial is every other year.
Okay, so
but I don't know about
you'll be bi-weekly.
Yeah, I think it can be both.
What about semi-weekly?
Yeah,
is that twice a week?
Thank you, everybody in the comments for the very, very kind stuff that didn't quite. Almost made me cry. It's just like it's a hard.
Tim was like, didn't quite.
Yeah, I realize that's the worst way to say it. But oh my god, I did not. I wish I've never been a huge. Dude, I got close in a way that like I wasn't expecting. Like I didn't. Yeah.
Well, it's an emotional thing, man. You build a community. I mean, that's what we're doing here at ALLCITY. We're building a community. So, thank you for being a part of it, man. And now you get to be a part of everyone's community. People are probably gonna be tired of you pretty soon. So
I hope not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me neither. Okay.
We'll always have Paris, Tim.
For Tim, good job, Tim. We'll see you sometime. All right, Tanner, you don't clap. You and I got to get to work right after the show is over. He's Tim. I'm Bobby. That's Tanner. KG and Stein will be joining us tomorrow live from Vancouver, Canada. Mavs training camp. It is going to be some really wonderful things coming out of there throughout the rest of the week. So make sure you're following along. And we will see you tomorrow on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Y'all take it easy.
We all silly like the mayor.